We're back now with more of NBC 29's exclusive look inside the mind of Virginia's chief executives. I asked the governors about whether social media, such as Twitter and Facebook, helps or hurts a candidate's ability to communicate.
I don't think that those elements have to do with message. I think that message is a matter, as Governor Kaine said, of being yourself, believing in your message. Because if you're not authentic in your message, I think the public will pick that up. I think they'll understand that. But I think that message definition is not an easy thing to do. And it really requires a vision of what you want to see for your state or for your country in the future, and then being able to express that in an appropriate way. These other items you've talked about, Twitter, Facebook, the internet, and so on, I'm a believer in it. And I think that it is the politics of the future. But don't make any mistake about that. It's only a method of communication. It's only a channel of communication for the future that will involve more people. But it's no substitute for expressing your ideas in a way that will capture the imagination of the voting public.
I think that's a good point. It enables politics to get back to the days when the basic method for being elected was door-to-door knocking on individuals to have the communication directly with an individual. This uses technology to reach individuals on an individual basis, and I think it's a great change. They're away from, it may get us away from the 30-second television spot, which is meaningless as far as any individual contact is concerned.
Well, I think the internet's the greatest invention since the Gutenberg press for the dissemination of information and ideas, and it's individualized. Yeah. So I agree with my colleagues here on that. And it's another way for people to have access to information and have their views known. But just like everything you read in the newspaper, you can't believe, everything you read on the internet is not necessarily believable. And what's happening to some extent when you get the bloggers and so forth, and I think that's all great. And I think the more information, the more access individuals have, the better. But a lot of it, and you'll see it in sports, you'll see it in politics, is, you know, people are for one side or the other. And it gets to the stage of ranting and raving sometimes with what is the discourse. However, it's freedom, it's innovation, it's opportunity, and for a campaign, that is a part of it. And for young people, this Twittering and tweeting and so forth is at Facebook. That is the way they all communicate. So you have to go where you can get your message out to folks. And Governor Gilmore is exactly correct, though. It doesn't matter what you're tweeting and twittering and putting on the internet or TV ads. It has to be ideas that motivate and inspire people, and people have to believe that what you're saying is what you honestly believe, and you'll keep your promises once elected.
Adam, one thing I would say, kind of again in the advice for candidates on this score, I agree with what's been said. It's critical to have a good technology presence. It's no substitute for good ideas. I've seen a lot of candidates, though, they get too stressed out about, well, do you see what the blogs are saying?
Oh, gosh.
You know, we want the editorial pages to say good things about us if we had our choice. And so, you know, candidates worry about that. But now blogs and technology give candidates a whole new range of things to worry about. And I remember a number of times 4 years ago, people saying, Governor, did you see, you know, I wasn't governor then, did you see what the blogs are saying? I said, no, I didn't, because I got a plan. I'm going to execute on the plan, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about all the flack in the air. It's really good for that to go on. It's a great place for people to get information. But as a candidate, you got to have a compass. You got to have a plan that you're going after, and you can't let all the different media distractions and speculations and blogs out there get you off your own game.
At what point in your term did you realize that your political influence was starting to fade?
Your question goes to whether you become a lame duck with this one-term situation. You don't become a lame duck. And I had a cartoon that I put on the door to the conference room that illustrated that. There's a picture of a goose and a golden egg by the goose. Down here was a little duck that had a splint on its leg, and the caption for the benefit of the agency heads was, "This lame duck can still cook your goose." And that was very true with respect to the operation of the government, because you were going to write this budget, and every one of those agency heads had to come in here and be very nice to you about that budget as you were putting it together. So lame duck doesn't mean much in my system, in our system as I see it.
And one of the reasons, go ahead.
I feel differently because I think maybe as time went on, we had a changeover for the first time in history in my administration from a total Democratic control to the Republican control. First time in history. And I think it will switch back and forth now some. But I was very surprised after the changeover came, how tumultuous that change ended up being, as a matter of fact. And I'm fond of saying, I believe in the two-term governorship. I think that it would help the system if the entire body politic understood that the governor had an opportunity to take his program back to the people and have a referendum on it for the second term. I believe in that. And I'm fond of saying, you asked the question, when does it wane? That's what I'm fond of saying. When you're first elected governor your first year, the legislature, which has unlimited terms, is scared to death of you. And in that first year, they passed our car tax cut. In the second year, they are cordial. In the third year, they are not cordial. In the fourth year, they're trying to kill you. So I think this is a really serious issue, and that's why I believe that we should have that reform and put in the two-term governors.
It brings up a good point. Where does everybody...
Let me chime in on this first.
Sure, absolutely.
That I think, as Governor Holton pointed out, I don't think you ever become lame duck until you pretty much have been shown who your replacement is. The reason that Virginia is the only state in the country with one term is because Virginia's Constitution empowers the Virginia governor with more authority than most states in the entire Union. And the legislature is resentful of it. The public wants to see that two-term. Most people want to see that two-term. But the legislature says, my God, you make all of these appointments, over 3,000, and I have a one-word definition for politics, money. And when you have the pen, and as has been pointed out, you do two budgets. The one for the guy that's coming in and half of the term that you're there, which means you're controlling pretty much the next guy's term, the first 2 years. You can write it.
Yep.
And it takes a heck of a lot to overturn that.
Coming up as our conversation continues.
You're looking for the best possible CEO you can find.
What the governors want you to hear before heading to the polls next month.
Although, even then you're working with your successor. Governor Wilder was unique probably in a variety of ways, but particularly on the succession on this budget, because he shared with us during our campaign the financial condition of Virginia, so that when we came in and we're trying to reorder, for example, to keep